What's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. This is the Bitcoin technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis show where we go live at 10 a.m. Eastern every single weekday to bring you the latest on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets. And today we're going to be talking about how a Bitcoin spot ETF could soon be approved. It's currently going through the SEC approval process, the SEC submission process. And if this were to be approved, this could be one of the biggest fundamental drivers of price action and retail adoption that Bitcoin has ever witnessed. I am not exaggerating in this. This is something we've been looking forward to for 4 years now. We have futures ETFs, which are a little bit different. Those are settled in cash, such as US dollars. A Bitcoin spot ETF would be settled in Bitcoin. So this would be a very big deal for the regulatory clarity of Bitcoin, because then the spot ETF market would make a lot more sense to the traditional space. It would make it a lot easier for stockbrokers and other brokerages to get involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency without actually getting involved in custody. They'd be able to buy the ETF while you have an intermediary doing the custody through the spot ETF, and it would drive a massive amount of trust into the space because the SEC would be approving basically for the stock market to trade Bitcoin. This would be a very big deal. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter for $41 billion, how this could be a hostile takeover, and how he actually might be serious. Could Elon Musk, with 81,600,000 Twitter followers, be about to be buying one of the largest social media platforms in the world? What would this mean for free speech? What would this mean for this whole zeitgeist that we have going on in the world right now of privacy and stopping the overreach of social media? Could this be a new era in how social media handles things? Could he be in alignment with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, doing not financial sovereignty, but maybe privacy and information sovereignty, something very similar and a brother to what we preach, which is financial sovereignty? We'd love to talk about all of that and more with you, as well as doing some technical analysis on Bitcoin and your favorite cryptocurrencies. We got a lot to talk about. We are joined as always by TA Tim. How you doing, Tim?
What's up, everybody? That's all I got.
Boom. All right. Well, what's up, everybody? The sky and the ceiling. How you feeling, man? How you doing?
That's the ceiling. That's not the sky.
That's what. Well, you can see the sky out there. Well, actually, you can only see trees out the window.
No, it's.
That's true.
I'm good though. It's not a bad thing. I just didn't have anything else to say this morning.
Okay. All right.
Uneventful morning.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I had an eventful morning. I had a great morning, guys. I had a great morning. I'm looking forward to the day. It's been a great day. We're also joined as always by Smay. How you doing, Smay? That rhymed. I'm a poet. I didn't know it.
Doing fantastic.
Woo!
I'm 2 days with no caffeine, and again, this is not some philosophical, cool reason. I just haven't.
Hey, Smay.
So
am I tempting you?
No, I mean, I'm doing relatively all right. Like, I feel a little bit groggy, but nothing gets me going in the morning like reading some green names. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We got Crypto JMP, Crypto Sec Guy, Elliot Locke, Eye of the Beholder. Who else we got here? Tom Wilkes, I love that guy. Matt C, I love that guy.
Whoa.
Agent Gold. Who else we got? Why You Loud, Sultan of Salt. Oh my gosh, so many great people. So many great people. Martin Siebels. Groovy, Martine,
Get right.
Groovy.
These are our members.
Yeah, it took me like 2.5
So many great people.
These are
So
our
many.
members.
Grand Roofing Incorporated, Crypto Sarah.
Grand Roofing Incorporated.
All you guys.
Woo!
All you guys I love.
Yes.
All right, back to you, Jebb.
Good deal. Well, guys, we got a great show lined up for you today. I am really looking forward to it. But before we start, we got to hit that like button. Guys, we haven't even started, and we've almost got 1,000 people watching, 157 likes. I know that we can get to 300 likes in the next couple of minutes. Thank you very much for all of you who tune in daily. We very much appreciate your support. And I just want to give a big shout out to all of our members. Thank you guys so much. We got a great community that is growing. We got a lot of great fans. We got a lot of great friends. We got a lot of great family, and we're going to have some fun today. You see what we did there? It's going to be a great day, guys. By the way, today's show is brought to you by CoinChange. You can start you can start earning yield on your cryptocurrency, especially through stablecoins. They have some really great yields over there with CoinChange. Make sure to check them out. The link is in the description box down below. But we're going to go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap now. Bitcoin right now trading at $41,191. Looking at the chart, there are actually a lot of things that are very encouraging here. We're going to look at how TD sequential is green, how MACD is converging bullish on itself, how Market Cipher has a green dot. A lot of bullish things happening on Bitcoin right now, as well as bullish fundamentals that we're going to be discussing a little bit later. But let's continue by looking through the cryptocurrency markets. Let's just pause here for a second and remember our perspective. Bitcoin right now is worth how much? $800 billion. A lot of people get upset when they think about, oh, okay, Bitcoin worth $40,000 is down from $69,000. bummer, right? Bitcoin's down so much. I'm so sad. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people are down in their investment right now, 20, 30, 40%, and I'm not trying to belittle that at all. There are people that are underwater right now, but it's also very important that even when we're underwater and we're tempted to feel sad or scared or FUD, that we remember how blessed and how great this is, even in the fact that we're down. Right now, Bitcoin is down from all-time high, 35%, 40%, but we're still sitting at $800 billion in market capitalization. When I got into the cryptocurrency space almost 5 years ago now, it's coming up on 5 years ago here in about 2 months, I saw a $40 billion market cap on Bitcoin. I saw a $2,900 Bitcoin. That's in the span of 5 years. We more than 12x'd, and to the all-time high, we more than 20x'd. So we're going to see major gains and growth in Bitcoin in the next 5 years based on the trend that we've seen in the last 5 years. That's not to say that Bitcoin's going to 20x again in the next 5 years, although if inflation keeps going this way, we might do it from the nominal US dollar value, but the actual true value of Bitcoin probably won't 20x in the next 5 years, but it probably will 5x. And a lot of altcoins that are in the top 10 very well may 20x. I could easily see Cardano 20xing in the next 5 years. I'm going to say it. I could see Cardano being at $600 billion in 2020, in what would that be, 2027. I could see Ethereum being worth $2 trillion by that time. There is a lot of great opportunity here, so we're going to talk about why Bitcoin is bullish right now and why I'm very excited for a bounce here in the next couple of days. But even when we're excited for the short term, keep that in mind. We have to make sure we're keeping perspective on the long run. The long game is up and to the right, and it has been for 12 years, and there's no sign of that slowing down or stopping anytime soon. In fact, it's just accelerating. One of the things also to mention here, guys, is the growth of the altcoin space. I mentioned this pretty much every single day at the beginning of the stream during the market watch because it's so very important that we remember this. Bitcoin's market dominance is down to 40%. Only 5 years ago, when I got into the space, right before I got into the space, Bitcoin's market dominance, which is just its value compared to the rest of the cryptocurrency market's value, was sitting at 86%. 86% of the value in crypto was locked up in Bitcoin. Now it's only 40%. That speaks to the growth of the altcoin space. A lot of that has come in the form of Ethereum. A lot of that has come in the form of Cardano, Solana, Avalanche, Binance Coin, etc. But the fact is, Bitcoin is losing dominance. The altcoins are growing, which means that the space is maturing. Bitcoin's about to be a teenager here coming up next year. It's going to turn 13. It's going to go off to middle school. It's going to be great. And Bitcoin is going to do very, very well. So just keep that long game in mind. If you turn 13, you're probably already in middle school. You're probably going to high school. Welcome to high school, Timmy. Bitcoin. We're going to have a great time.
Hey, Timmy?
What?
Timmy?
13-year-olds in high school?
13. What? How old is a 13-year-old?
13-year-old is like 7th grade.
13-year-old's 13 by
wow, really?
Wow.
A 13-year-old is in 7th grade.
Okay, in 7th grade?
So we're talking about a 14, 15-year-old, depending on where
I'm sorry. I wasn't in 7th grade when I was 13.
If they're in
I was
high
in
school,
3rd grade.
yeah,
I
they'll
got held
probably
back.
be
No, I'm joking.
15.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. I guess I don't know what age people are in high school. It was a long time ago that I was in high school. You know how long ago I was in high school? 4 years ago. That was a long time ago when I was in high school. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump onto the Bitcoin and crypto markets. Guys, Bitcoin has been bouncing from its local low at $39,300 that it set just a few days ago. It is definitely rallying. And by the way, nobody's been talking about tax day. That's tomorrow. A lot of people, every single year, people say, oh, tax returns. That's going to be big for Bitcoin when those come out because tax day comes and then people start getting their returns. I don't know how big of an impact that's going to have this year, but that is something to keep in mind. Tomorrow is April 15th. Anyway, Bitcoin has been bouncing over the last couple of days. And what we want to do in today's stream, in the technical analysis section of this stream, we want to see, is Bitcoin actually putting a bottom in? Or is this a bull trap? That's the question we're asking today. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a recap. Bitcoin has been in a major downtrend ever since the 10th of November. I refuse to call this a bear market because I have not seen bear market indicators flash. Instead, I've seen the fundamentals of Bitcoin continue to grow. I've seen the outflows on exchanges continue to increase, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. I do believe I have this article right here. You can pause and look at that if you wanted to jump ahead. We're also going to talk about how a Bitcoin spot ETF could be coming live, how 80 million people have access to Lightning Network right now. Guys, the fundamentals on Bitcoin are absurdly bullish, and we're going to talk about all of that. In the shorter term, Bitcoin was in a rising wedge and had been in that rising wedge ever since March 14th, 1 month ago today. Broke bearish out of that on April the 6th, and we've been in a downtrend since. So what we're looking at right now is that Bitcoin is in a primary uptrend. That means it's in a long-term uptrend. We call that a bull market. It is in a bull market, in my opinion. It has been in a bull market ever since 2019. I would say that we were in a bull market back over here. Then we paused and went into an accumulation phase, continued the bull market, and we've actually been in a continuous bull market for going on 3+ years. I think that that's where we're seeing ourselves, and I think it's going to go on for a few more years yet, because I think we're breaking the 4-year market cycle. In the secondary trend, which is the smaller trend to the primary trend, we're in a secondary uptrend. We have been in an uptrend ever since, I would say, with the benefit of hindsight, January, but we confirmed that we were in an uptrend once we set this new local high on the 28th of March 2022. So now, with the benefit of hindsight, we can say we've been in an uptrend ever since and not so much an accumulation phase. We're in an uptrend because we're setting higher highs and higher lows. Now, on top of that, we're also in a shorter-term downtrend. This is what I would call a tertiary downtrend. So we have the primary trend, which is up. We have a secondary trend, which is up, which is smaller. Then we have a tertiary, meaning third, trend, which is going down. The question is this tertiary trend about to start going to the upside so that we can have the primary trend, the secondary trend, and the tertiary trend all bullish? That would be the ideal. Are we going to bounce? Well, let's take a look at some indicators. There's a lot that we want to cover. First and foremost, let's look at volume. Very important indicator. The one thing to keep in mind with volume is that it is exchange-based. So when you're looking at volume, it's not a bad idea to look at multiple exchanges. Here on Coinbase, it looks pretty steady. If we switch on over here to Bitstamp, it looks pretty steady. And then if we switch on over here to Bitfinex, it looks, I believe, relatively steady as well. So not a lot to read into on volume. Bitcoin's volume has not changed much in the last couple of months. That leads us to believe that Bitcoin is in a little bit of a stagnant mode right now, which we know it is because the retail interest is relatively low as well. Another thing we want to look at is volatility. We can look at that through the Bollinger Bands. Notice the volatility has actually been expanding. The Bollinger Bands are widening on both fronts. Higher volatility means that the traders get interested. And when the traders are interested, they start putting money into the space and they start trading. They get out of their stable coins. They start trying to buy and sell. And when the market is going up and down in a predictable fashion, which I'd say it is right now, that means that the traders have the ability to make a profit. And I think that they would be doing that right now. By the way, if you're enjoying today's show, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can get to 500 likes here in the next couple of minutes. And if you're enjoying our technical analysis, consider subscribing to the channel. We've done this show every single weekday for the last year. We have done it for pretty much the entirety of that year at 9:30. We just moved to 10 a.m. Eastern, so make sure you tune in every single weekday for the latest on Bitcoin technical analysis. Now, there are a few other things to talk about. Let's look at the 20 exponential moving average. We're going to look at it on a couple of different time frames. The 20 EMA is an exponential moving average that we talk about in Club DeFi, which the beta is opening up here just in a little bit. The 20 EMA tells us whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. When we're above it, we're in an uptrend. When we're below it, we're in a downtrend. One of the reasons we know we're in a tertiary downtrend is because we're below the 20 DEMA. We want to get above this moving average. Extrapolating it out based on relatively neutral price action, we could see that Bitcoin more than likely needs to get above 42, but especially 43,000 to get above the 20 DEMA. If it does that, that would be very bullish. Now, looking at the longer term time frames, we can see that we're trading kind of through the 20 DEMA on the 3-daily chart. This tells us that Bitcoin is not so much in a strong uptrend, it's not so much in a strong downtrend, it's more or less just trading sideways and trying to figure out what it wants to do on the 3-daily chart. We're right now below the 3-daily 20 EMA, but if we get above that, that's going to be great, but we really want to get above that with a lot of exuberance. I told you guys I want to see Bitcoin above 50K with enthusiasm, with confidence, before I start saying, hey, we're in a really strong uptrend. We are technically speaking in a secondary uptrend. It's just not a very strong one right now. And then looking at the weekly chart, you can see that we are also below the 20 weekly EMA, but if we rally just above $43,000, we'll be above that too, which would definitely be a good sign. Now, there's a few other technical indicators I want to show you. Number one is Lux Algo. Lux Algo is telling us the exact same thing that I told you earlier. We're in a tertiary downtrend because you can see a confirmed sell signal. We have trend catcher red and a red sell signal right here. For a day, just a couple days ago, it actually turned red, which meant it was a strong sell signal. This means that we're in a tertiary downtrend, but looking at the 3-daily chart, we're still in an uptrend because Lux Algo has a buy signal and trend catcher is green. So Lux Algo is telling you the exact same thing that I just told you. That is that we're in a tertiary downtrend, which means basically just a very small downtrend for the last week or so. And then we're in a longer term uptrend, and we have that confirmed through Lux Algo. I also want to show you TD Sequential because it gives us a bullish indicator. Looking at TD here, we can see that we saw a 9 flash on TD Sequential yesterday. 9 flashes on TD Sequential tell us that a reversal is coming. So what's a reversal? Whenever Bitcoin is going to the upside, reversing would go to the downside. Whenever we're going down, a reversal of that would be going to the upside. Right now, we're going down. We're in a downtrend. We've established this. TD Sequential giving us a 9 flash says, hey, look, we should be going to the upside right now. That is a very bullish sign. We can put a feather in the cap of the bulls for that one. We're going to run through our oscillators really quickly, and I'm going to throw it to Tim. MACD is turning bullish. has been bullish for the last couple of days. It is, not bullish, but it's converging bullish. That means the MACD is moving in the direction of a bullish cross. We had a bearish cross right back over here on the 5th of April, which more or less called this downtrend. If we draw a vertical line here on the 5th of April, you can see that that MACD cross said, hey, look, we're going down. If we were to see a bullish MACD cross, which based on current trends, we could see happen probably around the 19th or so of April, that could lead us to the upside. That would be a good sign. On top of that, we can see RSI sitting down here around 40. That means that the bears are in charge, but it's not down at like 30, saying that the bears are very much in charge. It just means that they are currently in charge. The final thing I want to show you is Market Cipher. By the way, guys, today's show is also brought to you by Market Cipher. Check the link in the description box down below. You can sign up for it. It's a solid indicator. You can see there is a green dot right here. This green dot on this indicator called Market Cipher indicates that a bottom could be in. You can see, doing some historical analysis, that whenever we see a green dot on Market Cipher, as you can see in these instances right here, oftentimes that corresponds to a bottom. Notice how Market Cipher is bottoming out in these instances, how it has green dots down here. You can see right there, and right there. These correspond to bottoms that the market ends up getting out of. So we saw another green dot. That's another signal that we're going to bounce and run to the upside. So Market Cipher giving us some bullish signals right now. On top of that, we're seeing other parts of Market Cipher give us bullish signals. You can see the money flow indicator right here turned red for a second, but it looks like it's curving to the upside. That's typically a buy setup. This kind of janky looking line is not very smooth, this line right here. So that's called the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. It's actually a modified VWAP. It's a little more complicated than normal VWAP. That is moving to the upside, indicating bullish action could be coming in soon. And these two RSIs, these are heavily modified RSIs, relative strength indices. These are moving to the upside as well. So let's just run over and recap, because I know I just threw a lot at you. What we're seeing right now, Bitcoin is in a confirmed downtrend. However, it has multiple things saying that it's bullish. It has the TD sequential coming in saying that it's bullish and it's going to reverse. We have MACD coming in saying it's bullish and it's going to reverse. We have Market Cipher coming in saying it's bullish and it's going to reverse. And we also have, to add on top of that, a very strong support zone between 38.7 and 40K that we established on Monday and has been sitting here ever since. We have an uptrending level of support right here. And if we do go into an uptrend, then we know what we need to break through. We need to break through the 20 daily exponential moving average sitting at $42,500 so that we can kick off a rally back to 50K. And if we get back above 50K confidently, then we could be on track to all-time high. Tim, what are your thoughts of the current state of the market? Do you think 50K in the next couple of weeks is in order, or do you think this bounce that TD Sequential, Market Cipher, MACD, etc. are calling for is not actually going to happen?
Well, I think that the 50K call is a little early, but the momentum we have going in the fundamentals could definitely get us there. But the number I'm looking at right now, I'm going to go to the 4-hourly chart. You can go to my chart now, Smay, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit. I have the Bollinger Bands up here for a second. I'll take them down just because this point right here, 43,200, give or take. I'll go ahead and put a flat level right there. This line is where I want to get above. Oh, look at that. It's green. The last line I drew is green. That's fun. I'm going back to the daily chart to show you guys. This right here, this level is going to be very key to get over to stop what Jebb is talking about, this tertiary downtrend. Actually, I gotta go back to the 4-hourly chart. My bad, guys. Going back to our RSI, you guys are going to see why I have it right here. Look at this peak on the 4-hourly chart. At the moment, as it stands right now, we kind of have bearish RSI divergence set up. This would go to the downside. It's too early to say that absolutely is what's going to happen, even though we're going down. The reason I say this is because we have a peak right here. Brief explanation. This peak right here set up bearish RSI divergence that came down here. In case you're wondering, that price went down, RSI went up. Bearish RSI divergence, price went down. So we still need to beat out this point. So this $43,000 level is probably the one to look at. The second one to look at that's really important is, in fact, this red line I have right here, this descending level of resistance. And I don't remember who I saw this. I'm not even going to take credit for it. I don't remember who I watched, though. There's a different technical analyst I was looking at talking about this line. I actually love this line right here, and I think that is something we should keep our eye on at a potential resistance level, because you guys can see this peak back here on this wick coming down through the last couple of months. We broke through back here late March, but we've fallen back below it. There's been hesitancies. If I show you on the 4-hourly chart, that line was actually pretty significant. We hesitated at it right here, broke through, came back down, played with it for a little bit, broke through. Now we're heading back that way. You got to keep your eyes on that level, and by the time we get to it, it's probably sitting somewhere around $42,000. So right now, I'm looking at, if we're talking about getting back to 50,000, great. That's fun. That's awesome. Let's worry about 42 and 43 first. I think those are more important to, as Jebb says, kill the bearish tertiary trend, make that tertiary trend back bullish. And while we love what we see happening right here, and we love what's happening in the fundamentals, until we beat out this point, we're still setting lower highs, which is still bearish action. Now, I told you guys yesterday, Jebb talked about some of it. The TD sequential on the daily chart is green. The Bollinger Bands were overextended. We're sitting nicely on this support level of this ascending triangle that we talked about now for ever since, we've been really talking about this since late February. But we're still sitting right at it. Like, we came down to the bottom of this zone. Right now we're sitting at the top of that zone. I still think that there's very strong support and a lot of reason to be hopeful that the bottom, at least for right now on Bitcoin, is in before another rally. That being said, I would not be doing my job. Jebb wouldn't be doing his job not to warn you guys. There are some key levels of resistance, even the psychological nature of what's happening in technical analysis that could suppress us for a little bit. But if these news articles that we're going to talk about here in a little bit actually are true and they come to fruition, because I'm not going to lie, as of right now, we have to classify them as FOMO articles. There's no facts just yet. It's more speculation and hope. But if those come to fruition and if those seem like they're actually realistic, that could change everything. And now we're talking about 50,000. I think we're talking about more than 50,000. But we'll talk about that here in, I don't know, 10 minutes?
Yes, something like that. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, what I think right now is that there is there's a lot of, the bulls are being tested. That's how I'm trying to say this. Right now, the bulls are attempting to form a new secondary uptrend, which they have done because they've set higher highs and higher lows. And we saw that happen when Bitcoin rallied to $48,000 on the 28th of March. You can see it on my chart. However, the bulls are being tested right now. If Bitcoin starts dropping back below $37,000, then instead of an uptrend, all we've drawn is a megaphone pattern, and a lot of time that will push us to the downside. So whenever you go into a new uptrend, the bulls will always, without fail, be tested. There will always be a test to see how strong are these bulls really? How strong are these bulls? Can they actually kick off a major uptrend? We saw it happen here when Bitcoin bottomed out around $30,000 on the 21st of July. This was the test that the bulls had to go through. We pushed up to 42. We got dropped down to 37. That was a $5,000 drop, guys. What we're seeing right now is that Bitcoin just went through an $8,000 drop, and we didn't have as strong of a rally moving into it. What this tells me is that the bulls are weaker right now than the bulls were strong back over here in July. That does not, however, mean that the bulls are not strong. It just means that there was probably more bullish strength in this market back in July of 2021 than there is right now. Point being, Bitcoin is in an uptrend. It's just not in a very strong one. Bitcoin is probably going to go through a much slower and gradual rally unless we have some kind of news event like a spot ETF being adopted or, Elon Musk buying another $5 billion worth of Bitcoin or something. Bitcoin's probably going to have a slower, steadier run to the upside. Instead of it just taking off like a bat out of hell, it's probably going to rally a little bit slower, how we saw happen back over here in the beginning, the first half of 2020. Bitcoin just kind of slowly traded sideways, then started moving, and then it hit an inflection point. At some point, something happened. It's hard to tell what, but Bitcoin just starts taking off. That's probably what we're going to see happen right now. Let me go ahead and reload the page. TradingView is giving me a little bit of a glitch there. Point being, Bitcoin is probably going to have a slower, more sustained rally to the upside, if it does rally to the upside at all. That would have to do with the fact that Bitcoin is kind of in a turtle market. Smay, do you think that that's how we're going to get out of the turtle market, a slower rally, or do you think we're just going to pop off like a Roman candle?
To be honest with you, I'm not really confident in either idea that I would have, but I think my inclination is to say that I think we'll probably see some kind of hype event, especially, who knows, with this spot ETF, or who knows what that could mean. I think potentially we could see something be a little bit more hype fueled, which might mean it might be a sharp, shoot to the upside and then potentially a sharper crash to the downside. But I don't know. What do you think?
Here's an idea for you. A lot of the hype cycles have been driven by new people into the space that never heard of Bitcoin before. Now a lot of people have heard about Bitcoin. Most people have heard about Bitcoin. Most of the people that are kind of early adopters, that are in the early adopter mindset, most of them have heard about Bitcoin and they may have played in it. Tim, do you think that we've exhausted the amount of people in the world, at least for the most part, not completely, but at least for the most part, that are going to ever be super, super hyped on Bitcoin? And now we kind of have to rely on, more slow, gradual, sustained growth, because hype cycles are going to be harder now because everybody who was going to get hyped already has been, and they don't want to do it again because they've already experienced the newness. What do you think of that idea? That's just something I'm thinking about.
I think absolutely not. I think that we're nowhere close. And the reason why is because this is what I'll say. Elon Musk was a big factor in the last bull run, that explosive bull run, right? But majorly, that bull run was supported by new retail investors coming into the space. Here's what I think of this year. I've said this before. I'm going to probably say it again here in 10 minutes, but I'm going to say it now too. This is the year of institutional adoption. especially with what we see happening with the inflation rates and now the Fed getting semi-aggressive with their interest rate hike. That's going to FUD out even some institutions, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely going to FUD out retail investing. And when I say FUD out, some people will want to invest and literally not be able to because of their concern for feeding their family. Institutions don't have that same problem. They have been looking for and wanting to get invested, and they're looking at these lower prices and like, believe me, this price we're seeing right now, 40,000, higher 30,000s, that is a very, very low price for Bitcoin. When, especially after everything we talked about at that Bitcoin conference, all the hype that's coming into the space, what we know Bitcoin is capable of doing, we know the technology at this moment has a very low price. That's massively bullish for institutions. You start seeing things like spot ETFs show up. You start seeing things like actual regulation clarity from the government. That's going to bring the institutions into the space. And that's what I'm waiting for. I'm not waiting for retail investment to get back in the space. I really hope they do. I want them to, but I'm just not realistically seeing it at this time. I'm watching the institutional money and seeing that come into space. That's what's going to lead to this next explosive rally, which should put us over 100,000. I'm not going to give a timetable on that. Whether it's the end of 2022, whether it's mid-2023, I don't know. But I do think it's institutional money that's going to get us there.
I think you're absolutely right. And right now, I'm pulling up a chart here. Go ahead and jump on my screen. Then we're going to read some super chats. We've only got a couple. This is called the bell curve of adoption. And I've talked about this before, but it just kind of dawned on me that I haven't talked about it recently. Jumping over to the comments section here on YouTube, you can see John Flint said, early majority has not happened. And John, I want to kind of dive into what you just said because I think you're absolutely right. And I posed that question to Tim, but I don't know if I even agree with the question because I think Tim's right. What we see in adoption is that you see it follow a bell curve. So what's a bell curve? A bell curve is a curve that looks like a bell. You've probably seen it before on IQ and on, just distributions of different data sets. And so there are the innovators over here, and then you have the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. So what is that? Well, the innovators are the people that adopted Amazon, that bought Amazon stock in 1993. The innovators are the people that lined up outside the store to buy the first iPhone. The innovators are the people that bought Bitcoin in 2013. The people, frankly, I think that we're still in the innovator stage, and that's the point I'm about to make. The innovators are the people that they bought the first color TV. They're the people that had a phone in their car. What do they call them? A phone car, a car phone. That's what I'm trying to say, a car phone. Those are the people that join it when it's new. Then you have the early adopters. Those are the ones that join it when they have a perceived benefit. I like the way this explains it. Then you have the early majority. Join it when there's a productivity gain. The late majority is join when there's plenty of help and support. And then the laggards join only when they have to. The laggards are the people that are still using flip phones to this day. The laggards are the people that they had a black and white television until 1990. The laggards are the people that are still using Windows 7. I don't know. You get my point. The laggards are the people that take their time, and everything in between, just fill in the blank. It kind of makes sense. The point is, you hit something called an inflection point when you get late into the early adopter phase. Combine the innovators and the early adopters, and you get 16%. Right around the end of the time when the early adopters are coming in, that's about 13.5% market dominance, market penetration. When about 13.5% of a market is using it, that means 1 in 7 people are using this good or service. So when 1 in 7 people were using smartphones, that was a big deal. That was the inflection point. When 1 in 7 people were using personal computers, that was a big deal. That was an inflection point. When 1 in 7 people were using the internet, that was a big deal. That was an inflection point. And oftentimes what you see happen is that right around the time you hit 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16% market penetration. It changes for every single technology. Then you see something called an inflection point, and the adoption of that technology goes absolutely parabolic. The data shows that around 5 to 10% of the world uses Bitcoin, and quite frankly, most of the people in that 5 to 10% maybe have 20 bucks in it. I don't think that counts. I really think true adoption of cryptocurrency is probably at 1 to 2%. I would say we're still in the innovator stage, getting close into the early adopter stage. There's a reason that there's only one publicly traded company that has only 2 publicly traded companies that are not in crypto that have over 10,000 Bitcoin, Tesla and MicroStrategy, because we're in the innovator stage. Only the innovators, Michael Saylor, who's a very innovative person himself, he works in patents and developing new technology. His company has been developing new engineering technology for 35 years. And you have Tesla, which you talk about innovation, Elon Musk's names come up. They're the innovators. They're the people getting into Bitcoin. Next, you're going to see the early adopters. We're starting to see them now. You got people like Kevin O'Leary getting into the space. You got people all around Wall Street starting to get into the space. case. The innovators are encouraging the early adopters. The early adopters are going to send it parabolic. When we talk about the institutions getting in, they're the early adopters. We're starting to get into that early adopter phase. I don't think we're out of innovators. But once we start getting to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% market penetration, this thing just goes ballistic and Bitcoin's going to explode. So if you think that you missed the boat on Bitcoin, not even close, my friend. You haven't even gotten started. And I'm going to show you another chart here in just a second that backs that up. But first, let's read some super chats and then we're going to move into our fundamental segment.
Yeah, we have a couple here, but I don't know what. Refresh the page. There we go. Come on now, page. Technical difficulty. There we go. Tom Wilkes gave earlier, said no one's investments are down unless they sell. At least that's the way it works in my brain.
I completely agree with that, and I think that's exactly the case. Yep.
Yeah, Martine Siebels. Again, 2.5 shows to do it, but I got it now. Martine. Blessings, hello, and hugs, and much profit.
Yeah.
Woo-how. Whoa, wow? I don't know.
Spell it.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Well, there's a W at the end. The W throws off the...
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Maybe that's... Okay. Ryan Neese said, my TA has Bitcoin finally broken below long time support on the daily log BLX chart. The way I have it drawn, currently back testing on the daily.
Right. So I would have to look at that, but there are, yeah, I'd have to look at that. That's very interesting. I'm glad that you're doing your own technical analysis. We make sure to tell you guys, hey, don't just do trades based on our technical analysis. You need to make sure that you are trading based off of your own information, your own knowledge. Use us as a resource, but make sure that you're doing your own analysis. As my dad always said, and he might be in chat right now, so shout out to Dad. Don't ever let somebody else do your thinking for you. It's very important that you don't follow blindly, because sometimes people will lead their sheep right off a cliff, and I don't want you to go cliff diving unless you got a parachute.
Yeah. This is a good name. Ben Therium. Said, are we seeing a Bart Simpson on the Bitcoin hourly?
On the Bitcoin hourly, I can check that really quickly. Kind of. I mean, it hasn't played out yet. It's potential. There definitely is a potential for that. We're also seeing an inverse head and shoulders pattern that just built on the hourly chart. So you have a bullish and a bearish metric there, kind of clashing and canceling each other out. So it's hard to tell, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hoping is, what would you make the name? If it's not tertiary, what would you call the
Quaternary.
Quaternary?
Quaternary and quintenary.
So at the moment, if we can hold that support, we're setting a higher low in that
Quaternary. Quaternary.
The word is beyond me. But that's the hope, is that we can start turning. If we can start turning the lows from keep going down to back up, and then remember that number I said 43, get back above 43, so our highs start getting higher as well. Yeah. Our peaks are getting higher as well. That would be important. But another one here, Matt C. said, I agree, Jebb. We live in a crypto bubble, so we think that everyone is involved. They are not. We are so early.
We really are so early. Walking around in Miami, which is probably one of the most Bitcoin-friendly cities in the world, most people had no idea what Bitcoin was, and the largest Bitcoin conference in the world was going on 2 blocks from them. Now, there were a lot of people there that knew what Bitcoin was, don't get me wrong, but most people still have no idea what it is. They're like, they look down the sidewalk and people had spray paint on the sidewalk everywhere to the moon, and the arrow was pointing towards the convention center. It was really funny. And most people have no clue what that's talking about. They're like, oh, okay, they're having a conference. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
They're nerds. Which is probably true.
we'll do the last one here and then get back into chat. But Crypto Sec Guy, I'm assuming he's just trolling me at this point. He just wanted to say wahoo wow.
Wahoo wow.
There's a W at the end, so
wahoo.
Unless the W is silent, which I don't think it is.
It's like a pterodactyl. The P is silent.
Maybe it was a typo. I don't know. The W's on the other side of the board though than the O, so yeah. I think it's on purpose.
GME8 said, Crypto Jebb, can you make up some new words, bro? Sounds awesome. Free Shavakadu. There you go. Got one for you. Let's go ahead and jump on back to my chart. I'm going to finish up the point I was making, then we're going to move on and talk about the spot ETF. This is called the S-curve of adoption. Look at all these different technologies. We got telephone, automobiles, electricity, radio, refrigerator, stove, washing machine, clothes dryer, color TV, air conditioning, dishwasher, microwave, cell phone, VCR computer, and the internet. And you can see how all of them start slowly. A dryer, for example, or I'm sorry, a color TV, for example. Look at how slow it started. The internet, look at how slow it started. Cell phone, look at how slow it started. Automobiles, look at how slow they started. They went through this little period where they start to grow. And then look here around 10%. This is 20% of U.S. households. Look around 5 to 10%. See how microwave, for example, hit 8% market penetration. boom, exploded to over 80% within a decade. Cell phones got here to around 10%, exploded to everybody having one within a decade. VCR got to, 6, 7, 8%, boom, exploded to 80% penetration in a decade. This is what I'm talking about. When Bitcoin gets to this point, because it's not there yet, Bitcoin's sitting down like right here. People using it. I'm not talking about people, they bought Bitcoin every once in a while. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are using Bitcoin on the daily. They got a large portion of their investments in it. They are actively trading it. They're actively investing in it. The people that are actually using it, around maybe 2% of the population. Would you guys agree with that? Because people talk about, 15% of the population has adopted Bitcoin. If we're talking about they bought $10 of it, yeah, call that adoption. I don't call that adoption. I'm talking about people have integrated it into their daily lives in a major way. What do you think that number is?
I've seen different reports with different numbers. I saw one that said in the United States it was 22%.
I just don't believe that.
I don't know if I believe that one either. I think what it said is 22% own crypto in some way. So how many people bought an NFT?
So they've signed up for Cash App and they have $10 in it.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's probably a lot of people like my dad, for instance, who he's bought a little bit here and there.
But he's not in it.
He's not in it. No, I think it's closer to 2%.
I think that's the question right there. How many people have put money into crypto versus how many people have put research into crypto? Because I even like at the conference, Jordan Peterson talked about when he was learning about Bitcoin, the number one thing he did was he said, I put money into it because now that I have skin in the game, it's going to force me to actually start thinking about it. I think a lot of people have put skin in the game, and it's going to, if they really care about that money, they're going to be forced to go do their research for it.
He said that about starting a business, but...
No, he was talking about Bitcoin. Okay. I mean, he talked about a business as well, but the story I'm talking about, Jordan Peterson said he didn't understand anything about Bitcoin, so he purchased some. Yeah. And then he went and did his research. And I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if that's the greatest life advice, but it is true that when you have something to lose, your brain actually has to work at making sure you understand what's happening.
There's a little Dobie running around the studio right now. I heard a little growl.
I don't know what happened there. But the point is, guys, it has not even begun. 2 to 5% adoption, maybe. I would say probably 2%. When we see the industry, I don't know, 5 times the size it is right now, that's probably when you're going to see that inflection point. That's why I make ridiculous 10-year price predictions. I don't think they're ridiculous, but they sound ridiculous. 10-year price predictions on Cardano being at $20 or $30, Bitcoin being at $1 million, maybe $5 million of 20, 30 US dollars because of inflation. That's where all that comes from. The simple fact is nobody knows nobody's in Bitcoin. A lot of people know what it is now. I shouldn't say that, but nobody's in it. Not even close. The internet started as a research project so that universities could communicate with each other. It was called ARPANET, and it was launched in 1969. It took 30 years for that thing to start going mainstream. Bitcoin's been around for 12. Okay, so let's have some patience here. We're really starting to take off, but we're not there yet. We haven't even begun. It's very important that we keep perspective. It's kind of the theme of today's stream. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the spot ETF. I'm going to read from the article here, and I want to throw it to Tim to kind of introduce the story, and then we're going to talk about it so you can tee it off, Tim. Spot Bitcoin ETF approval now very likely after SEC gives nod to new futures application. So can you introduce this subject?
I don't know too much more I can introduce. I'm scrolling right here for the name of the company because it's not one that I'd seen before. It's how do you pronounce that? Teucrium, Teucrium. Again, if I can't spell names correctly, if I can't say names correctly, I'm not going to say that company name correctly. But what's funny, this is a little detail put there too. They used the Security Act of 1933 rather than the Investment Company Act of 1940. So they changed their tactic on how they applied for it. But other than that, I think that what we can really get into on this conversation is the SEC has been shooting down spot ETFs now for months. It's been very frustrating. It has been one of the things that probably has kept Bitcoin from getting to $100,000, meaning it's continuing to stifle institutional money, and people love using spot ETFs. That's a very popular way to trade and invest. It's never come to crypto, and it's never come to Bitcoin. Now it's coming. It's not even just this specific spot ETF that we need to talk about. It's the concept now of the SEC finally opening up to spot ETFs and what this precedence could be for getting people into the space. As we just talked about here a second ago, almost nobody, when we're really thinking about the grand population, nobody is in Bitcoin. How many people will come in because of actions like this?
The fact of the matter is, I don't think that a spot ETF is going to have the overnight double effect to Bitcoin that people think it's going to. I think it's been overhyped for about 4 years. I remember 4 years ago, there was a YouTuber who I have a deep amount of respect for, so I'm not gonna name them because I disagree with them, but I don't dislike them. I very much like this person. I'm looking forward to meeting them at some point in the future. I almost got to meet them. But they said that a spot ETF would probably launch Bitcoin in some major way. At the time, this was towards the end of the 2017 bubble, it probably would have. At this point in time, I don't think this spot ETF would be as big of a deal now as it would have been 4 years ago. The point is, we've been looking for a spot ETF to be approved ever since I got into the space, going on half a decade ago. So the fact is, this is something that's been going on for a long time. Not BlackRock. I'm forgetting the name. Van Eck was trying to get a spot ETF approved in 2018. It just didn't happen. So I don't think it's going to have the impact now that it would have back then. But if it does happen, it would be major for the space because it will lead to a long-term delayed but very profound impact on the space. But it's going to take time because the thing is, most of the brokerages, most of the banks, most of the institutions, I should say, that want to get into crypto have already found a way to get into crypto. Most of them, if they have clients that want to get into Bitcoin, they've already found a way to get them into Bitcoin in a roundabout way without using a spot Bitcoin ETF, which is basically just an investment vehicle to invest in Bitcoin without actually taking custody of Bitcoin. Taking custody of Bitcoin is having the Bitcoin in your own possession. You have another custodian that takes care of that side of it. So it makes it easier to buy and trade the price of Bitcoin without actually having to custody the Bitcoin. Spot ETFs are important because they maintain the economics of Bitcoin. When you buy Bitcoin, it actually takes it off market and somebody holds on to it and keeps it out of the market. So it actually will drive supply and demand economics. A spot ETF will be a big deal. Yeah. The point is that most of the companies that want to get into Bitcoin have already found a way to get into Bitcoin. I don't know if a spot ETF would instantly mean that everybody's going to transfer over. It's a little bit like what we're about to talk about with Elon Musk. He might be planning a hostile takeover of Twitter because everybody's already using Twitter. If he went and founded his own social media platform, how hard would it be for him to get everybody to transfer over? A lot of the institutions, I should say, that want to invest in Bitcoin have already found a way. So new institutions that are trying to get into Bitcoin will probably use a spot ETF. But it might take them time to transfer over because they already got something that works. So I think a spot ETF is a big deal for the long-term fundamentals of the space, but I also don't think it's going to have the overnight send Bitcoin to the moon $100,000 price effect that a lot of people think it will have. But that being said, it could jump Bitcoin $5,000 or $10,000, kick off a rally that eventually leads there in a year. I just don't think it's going to just moonshot the space overnight. But that's my thought. Smay, do you have any thoughts on a spot ETF and what that might do to the space?
To be honest with you, this is the one area, one of a couple areas that I have no idea about. So I'm not going to waste anybody's time trying to babble about it.
Sounds good.
I have one more thought, though, because I want to find the numbers on this. So, even T-Stream, you're listening to this, help me find these numbers. I want to find the numbers of what currently happens to spot ETFs across other platforms and other stocks and other investments. So I don't have any numbers here. But as we just talked about, nobody is in the space in terms of when we're looking at the entire population, almost nobody's in the space. Spot ETF is a whole nother world that could bring in new adopters. And I hear you, Jebb. I completely agree that a lot of companies that want to invest in Bitcoin are finding ways to do it. But this is another avenue. This is a whole nother beast that is an opportunity for people to get involved. So again, if we were sitting at a legitimate 25 to 50%, somewhere in that range, percentage of use case, like that many people in the United States are using it, I'd probably agree and say, hey, they're figuring out as well. We're probably never going to get to absolutely 100%. You're always going to have those people up in the mountains who just live off their own kills and everything. But right now, we're talking about a very small percentage of people actually getting their hands dirty and getting their hands involved with Bitcoin and investing and trading. I think this is a whole nother opportunity for people to jump in, get involved, and start trading Bitcoin. And what I'm hoping, because you're absolutely right, this doesn't really solve the problem of getting people to actually invest in it themselves and hold the keys and everything else. But the understanding, we talked about it before with like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu and SafeMoon, all these other projects. If we could give one absolute win that they did, it was exposing people to the crypto market. Same thing with spot ETF. I believe that this is a whole other avenue for people to be exposed to Bitcoin, to be exposed to blockchain, and it might start with them just investing and trading on spot ETFs, and then it moves to them saying, no, this technology, as Mr. Wonderful put it, this software is so phenomenal, I need to get some of it myself. And then we have a whole new adoption happening based off that.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, guys, if you didn't watch that video, I interviewed Kevin O'Leary at the conference, and he said that the question that I asked him was the best question he's ever been asked. He was probably exaggerating, but those are his words, not mine. I don't know if he actually said that on camera, but he did say those verbatim words to me. I couldn't find it in the interview. I think he said it right after, but make sure to go back and watch that interview. I didn't think it was that good of a question, to be honest with you, but everybody else seemed to think it was great. So make sure you watch that interview. Kevin O'Leary really liked it, and hopefully we'll be able to get Mr. Wonderful on the show for a full interview at some point in the future. Go bug him on Twitter and tell him that Crypto Jebb sent you, and that you would like to see him on the channel. I'd love to talk to him more about Bitcoin and get his word out there. However, here's the thing, guys. We got more stuff to talk about. Another person we need to discuss is Elon Musk. As I said, Elon Musk could be trying to do a hostile takeover of Twitter. You've probably seen this trending everywhere on, ironically, Twitter. Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter for $41.39 billion. And apparently he wasn't joking, because he said, I made an offer. And then if you go here, he actually filed with the SEC. Now, I did not have a chance to fully read through all of this. And I am not a lawyer, and I do not speak legalese, so I don't know exactly what this SEC document is trying to do. But the point is, Elon Musk seems to be wanting to actually... Oh, wait, here we go. I just found it. As a result, I'm offering to buy 100% of Twitter for 54.2 cents, $54.20. I guarantee you he put 420 in there on purpose. Per share in cash, a 54% premium over the day before I began investing in Twitter, and a 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is my best and final offer, and if it is not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. Twitter has extraordinary potential. I will unlock it. Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. Speaking to Brett Taylor, I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, and I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functional democracy. I would agree with that. However, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve the societal imperative in its current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. Okay, so he is talking about bringing it private. So he absolutely is. He actually is talking about bringing it private. I didn't have a chance to fully read this, but that's what he just said. This is him. After a reasonable inquiry, to the best of my knowledge and belief, I certify the information for the truth. This is just an anti-perjury claim.
So he's basically, he needs to make him, obviously he's trying to buy 100%.
He's trying to buy the entire company. Now, if you look up Twitter's, if you try to look up Twitter's market capitalization, is currently sitting at $36 billion. So, and it's also sitting at a $47 share price. So he's talking about buying it at a premium. The only thing is, how do you take I don't know how you would do this. How do you take a company private when the shares are on the open market?
You need 80%. You have to buy 80% of shares.
Is that what it legally is to take it private?
Yes.
Okay, so how are you, my question is, one, is he even going to try this? He's worth $260 billion. He actually could theoretically do this. This is in his wheelhouse. This is a potential, this is a possibility for him. Where he's going to get $40 billion, $50 billion, he's going to have to sell other stock, because he doesn't have $40 billion in cash. He's going to have to sell Tesla stock to be able to do this, which could crash the price of Tesla. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other can of worms we're not going to get into. But how is he going to, how would he buy 80% of the shares without driving the price of Twitter stock so high, because him putting that much demand on the market would send the share price straight to $200. This could be a great time to buy Twitter stock, to be honest with you. Tim, what do you think about that? How in the world would he even be able to buy 80% of the company? Because he could probably buy it off market, over the counter, from other major investors. Yeah. But from the general public, how is he even going to get anywhere near that much?
I mean, it's Elon.
Full screen.
I think the world has learned not to try to predict what Elon is going to do and not going to do, and what he's capable of doing and what he's not capable of doing. It's Elon. He is... At this point, it's almost like, I think you said it earlier, Jebb, it's like he's having fun with life.
Yeah, no, I said it off stream.
Doing business at the same time.
He's already won at life in his eyes. Now, I don't think being worth $250 billion classifies as winning at life. That's not what I'm saying. Money is not the end goal of life. But in his eyes, I think he thinks he's won at life. I think he thinks, okay, yeah, I've already done everything. I am literally worth $250 billion. I'm the most wealthy man that's ever lived on the planet. I have one of the most successful companies that's ever been created. I'm about to take humanity to another planet. What more is there to do? So he's just trolling. He's playing a video. He's playing GTA 5 is what he's doing. He's playing Grand Theft Auto in real life.
I think a good question to ask, because at first, like we said this morning, we were kind of like saying, is this a troll? Because, again, it's Elon. Or is this legit? It is looking like it's legit. I do want to see, though, what that overhaul would look like. First of all, you're right. Where's he going to get the money? I'm not as concerned and thinking that's a problem. Where's he going to get the money? It's Elon. I think he has the money somewhere. He'll figure it out. I think he's really, really, really passionate about, he talked about doing it even himself, creating a platform. If he just takes over Twitter, that's easy. To create a platform that gets rid of centralization. It does get censorship. Censorship, thank you. Yeah. But here's the problem. Is there going to be a complete overhaul of staff? Because I've already seen on Twitter, I don't know if you guys saw it, there's several people when he bought who quit. They don't want to work, especially with him being one of the largest shareholders. They don't want to work there anymore. If he takes the whole thing over, how many people quit of their own? How many people would he fire?
Well,
because he's like, you're going to get on board with what I'm doing, especially this is a private company now.
Yeah.
You're going to do what I'm doing. But I already saw in chat, someone's like, if he actually does this, I'll apply to be one of the developers. Maybe it's an easy hire process, but we know this from business. It is always complicated when you have to start fresh and get new. It's way easier in a transition of a business to keep employees and keep developing them than to fire and hire new ones. And it looks like if he did this, potentially he'd have to almost overhaul the entire company. Oh, he absolutely would get rid of the CEO. He absolutely would get rid of probably most of the executives on that team, overhaul them. But even when it comes down to the little minute details of it, there's probably a lot of people that just would not get on board with his ideas of what Twitter should look like. They're either going to leave or be fired, whichever happens first. He's going to have to hire those as well. I'm not as concerned about if he has the money to do it. I'm more concerned about the steps to make sure it's a seamless transition.
I think he would probably see, if he took over Twitter, he would probably see 30% turnover. No, he probably would. And by the way, turnover being a corporate term for how much of your staff leaves and you have to replace every single year. He probably would see 30 or 40% turnover. But at the same time, the people that leave are the people that he don't want, that he don't want anyway. That he don't want anyway. Those are the people that he wanted to get rid of anyway.
That's why he's buying it.
And that he would probably fire. So if they leave, it would actually make it easier for him because then he wouldn't have to pay their unemployment benefits. So a lot of them might just wait for him to fire them anyway because they get the boot. So I agree with you, Tim.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the people that would think about the people that fill those spots, because you're right, I think 30 or 40% of the employees would be turned over like that. The people that would fill those spots are going to be diehard Elon fans. Because now everybody's going to say, hey, look, there's another company I can go work out under Elon Musk. And the culture in Twitter would shift so rapidly that it would probably be very damaging to the fabric of a company because as a business owner, I can tell you that the culture of a company is one of the most fragile and also important things of a company's DNA. Twitter's DNA would change radically overnight if he did this. And it probably would lead to a drop in the share price. It probably would lead to a drop in revenue. But it could be one of the best things that ever happened to free speech on the internet. Maybe Elon Musk screws it up and it goes south. I don't know. I'm really interested. Elon Musk is a reality show to watch. It's so funny. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just think the reason why I think this is fully, like, I mean, obviously I think at this point it's not really in question anymore if this is just a troll or something like that. But I think even more so, like, he's been very clear in the past about how he views Twitter as this town square on the digital internet that is this, like, it is such a vital place, and he's even said it in his thing, that it's such a vital place for people to communicate ideas. And the fact is, it's like, I think this is genuinely one of the, he's very motivated in trying to change the world in different ways. In terms of SpaceX's space travel, Tesla is to try to make cleaner cars and energy, like the solar panels and stuff like that.
Trying to mold society.
Yeah, he's trying to make the world a better place, and I think this is his next step in the social sphere of doing it. So I think absolutely I think this is something he's very passionate about, being able to bring that freedom of speech to the internet, which there's really not a platform that's doing it on the scale that you can do it with Twitter. So I think ultimately I think he's going to do whatever it takes to make this happen.
And I agree. And I think it's actually going to happen. Insofar as I don't know if he's going to actually buy Twitter, because I don't even know if that's possible to do what he wants to do. But if he doesn't, he's probably going to found something, and it'll probably get a lot of users signing up day one because Absolutely. Elon Musk is one of the most famous people on the planet. He's the richest man on the planet. The thing is, and this is how this ties into crypto, because a lot of you are probably tuning out right now. You're saying, okay, whatever. We're talking about Elon Musk again. What does this have to do with Bitcoin? The reason that this is important is because Elon Musk, I think, has a very similar philosophy to Bitcoin. I think that's why he bought Bitcoin. He talks a lot about Dogecoin because he thinks it's funny. However, if you look at where Tesla's investments are, they're in Bitcoin. There's $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. They own 40,000 Bitcoin. That is the second biggest holder of Bitcoin institutionally in the world, only behind MicroStrategy, because Michael Saylor is an absolute mad lad. And MicroStrategy owns 130,000 Bitcoin, 138,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a project that believes in decentralization and immutability. What is freedom of speech? What is it? At its core, it is immutability. That is the same word pronounced differently. That's what immutability is freedom of speech in the social sector. Freedom of speech is a concept that was written into the Constitution of immutability. So if Elon Musk believes in Bitcoin, then he hopefully believes in this concept of immutability. And based on what he's saying, he's talking about freedom of speech. It seems like he at least professes to believe that. That doesn't mean he does, but it at least seems that he's professing that. So if he were to if he were to buy Twitter and try and transition it in his image, and he believes in this immutability concept of Bitcoin, that's part of the reason he bought it, then he would probably end up at least trying to push Bitcoin and Twitter together in a way that they would work in harmony, and you could potentially see major adoption of Bitcoin on Twitter, one of the largest social media platforms in the world, and that would kick off a major movement that would lead to the mass adoption of, in part, the mass adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So this all ties together. The reason we're talking about Elon Musk is, one, he's the most influential, richest person on the planet right now. Elon Musk, quite frankly, is probably more powerful than anybody on planet Earth except maybe the President of the United States. And the fact is, it sounds like he's trying to get on board with a lot of the same principles that Bitcoin does. That's huge, and I think that that'll have a big impact on Bitcoin. Tim, what are your thoughts on this?
Man, I think we wrapped that one up pretty clean. I think it's more about the precedents, and I've said that word a couple times now, but that's what, when we're talking about future adoption of Bitcoin and crypto as a whole, we need to start seeing precedences happen. That's even one of the reasons why, and it's tangential, but we're bringing it back up. The reason why I think the deal that Jack Mallers talked about at the conference was so big is, even if it's not the end-all be-all, let's say that deal with Strike and everything is not what we're using in 10 years, it set a precedence that now other companies like Apple could come in and make even better and follow, and it brings mass adoption. I think the things that we're seeing happen with Elon Musk potentially taking over Twitter is going to set a precedence that allows people actually to express the same decentralized feeling. Even though it's not a decentralized company, it'll be a decentralized feeling of social media that will further bring on and encourage the use case of decentralized finance.
Boom, there you go. Well, and by the way, Tom Wilkes, you are right. It looks like at the current moment, Luna looks like they did pass Tesla, actually, because I believe Tesla's balance is 40,000 Bitcoin. Looks like Luna just crossed 42,000 Bitcoin. So it looks like Luna just crossed Tesla. So
Quan wasn't joking.
Quan was not joking. He was not joking
at
at all. He wants $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. That dude is a mad lad, just like Michael Saylor.
Because he said 10 billion, but what he actually was saying was 10 billion would do it. He wants to be the largest, besides Satoshi Nakamoto, he wants to be the largest Bitcoin holder in the world.
Speaking of largest Bitcoin holder, this has nothing to do with it, but guys, today is our members live stream. We're gonna probably go for about 20 minutes and I'll do a little members live stream, hang out with you guys after the stream today. So stay tuned for that.
We got some super chats though. Real quick, let's go through these before we close out. Cryptopher said, any thoughts on a buy for XRP with news that a judge ruled that the SEC released documents that may prove it has selectively enforced regulations in the cryptocurrency industry, showing a 9 on the TD sequential. I'm assuming it's a bullish 9.
I haven't looked at the XRP price recently, so I can't really give you anything off the top of my head. I can try, but we're going to have to do it quickly because I got us a little bit behind on time here. We got 3 minutes left in the show.
We can do that in a different video.
Let's do that in a different video.
Yeah, let's do that in a different video. Good question, though, Crypto.
Good question.
XRP is one. Again, we like XRP. We're just waiting for all this SEC stuff to be done. So maybe this is the beginning of the end. We'll see. Bobo the Crypto Hobo said, what do you guys make of YouTube shutting? These are great questions. What do you guys make of the YouTube shutting down Bitcoin Magazine's account that was covering the conference last week?
So glitches happen on YouTube and channels get shut down sometimes. That happened to us last October. It was a glitch. We talked to YouTube and they got it fixed. They were very, very helpful, the people I talked to at YouTube. I actually got to talk to somebody at YouTube over a little chat. It was very, very helpful. I don't know if there was a political motivation behind it at all. I do believe YouTube has shut down channels for political motivations many times. I can't say for certain whether or not that happened with Bitcoin Magazine, and I don't really have enough details to really tell you in what happened there, so I can't weigh in on that. By the way, if you're enjoying today's stream, smash that like button. Let's get to 800 likes here in the next couple of minutes.
Tom Wilkes said, I'd like your opinion on the Cowboys announcing their partnership with blockchain and what you think that could mean moving forward. You know, Kelly sent me a
the Tennessee Cowboys are adopting Bitcoin. I'm sorry.
Oh,
the Knoxville Cowboys.
Kelly sent me a tweet about a document, a URL about it. I hadn't seen it actually, but again, we'll talk more about that somewhere else. Probably not even on this channel. That might be something I talk about just even personally on my Twitter or something else. That's huge. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are one of, not the largest, but one of the largest sports franchises in the entire world. So striking this kind of deal, again, that word I used a little bit ago, precedence, the precedence being set for the adoption of the sports world and crypto. I love it. We've seen now stadiums be named after it. The World Cup is sponsored completely by crypto.com. The sports world is going to be another facet of mass adoption for crypto. I love it. I'll talk more about it. Some of you don't care, but you will care when it makes your portfolio go up. So pay attention. Eric Leon, last one here, said, have you seen the team Chainlink Labs, what Chainlink Labs is building? The team that Chainlink Labs is building.
I haven't looked at it lately, to be honest with you, Eric Leon. I looked at it when I bought Chainlink. I haven't looked into it too much recently. Chainlink is a part of my portfolio, but it's a very small part of my portfolio, so I haven't looked at it as much as some of my others.
T-Shroom, if you're listening, take note.
Take note. Yeah, there you go. We make some Chainlink content. By the way, guys, members only stream coming up soon, and also Club DeFi is launching in its first phase of beta pretty soon. For all of you guys who signed up a couple weeks ago, first 200 are going to be getting access to that, so we're looking forward to seeing what you think. We've been working on Club DeFi for over a year and a half. There is a lot of really great content coming out. Guys, it's in beta. We're still getting everything up and running. This is the first time we've launched a full, massive, site-wide project. I mean, guys, hundreds of thousands of dollars have gone into developing this thing. This is not a small project. This is a big project, and this is going to revolutionize education in the crypto space. I firmly believe we're going to be the largest cryptocurrency educational platform in the entire industry, and if you want to get signed up for it, well, you can't just yet because it's closed beta, but you will be able to, again, here in a couple of weeks. We will be opening up another 200 seats, so be watching out for Club DeFi because you are not going to want to miss what we are doing there. Guys, that's all we got for you today. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on social media at CryptoJebb over on Instagram and Twitter, and at CryptoJebb Official over on TikTok. Before I go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.